This is a case where if they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone. These are bad people. These are, in many cases, I believe, sick people. When you look at our country, what's happening where millions and millions of people are flowing in from all parts of the world, not just South America, from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East, and they're coming in from jails and prisons, and they're coming in from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're coming in from all over the world into our country. And we have a president and a group of fascists that don't want to do anything about it, because they could right now, today, he could stop it. But he's not. They're destroying our country. Our country is in very bad shape, and they're very much against me saying these things. They want to raise your taxes by 4 times. They want to stop you from having cars with their ridiculous mandates that make it impossible for you to get a car or afford a car. But make it very possible for China to build all of our cars. It's a very serious problem that we have. We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before. I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines and was threatened with jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put 2 sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. And maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it, because I don't know if he knows about anything. But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by Washington, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail. So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed to talk about it. I hope you do, because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let us do those things. But when the government wanted something, they got everything. They got everything they wanted. It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for.
We're going to continue to monitor Donald Trump and his remarks. He's making very, very strong statements, and we're going to have a fact check on those statements coming up shortly. Daniel Dale is standing by. Aaron, we're listening to the former president of the United States say, and I'm quoting him now, "We are living in a fascist state." He refers to the trial as a scam, a rigged trial. He says he would have loved to have testified. He could have testified. It was his decision not to testify. He said, quote, "I would have loved to have testified." And then he went after some of the witnesses, including Michael Cohen, for example, potentially a violation of the gag order that has been imposed by the judge against him. Aaron, we're going to continue to listen to what the former president has to say, but clearly, without a teleprompter, he's going off the cuff. He's railing against almost everything.
Yeah, and Wolf, you know, the fascist state, of course, the line that stands out. But as you point out, the other key, off the teleprompter. So it is very much off the cuff. So you're getting a rant and a reliving of the case and how he sees it. But then these sort of cul-de-sacs, right? Talking about polls or talking about his role or taking on a witness or talking about electric vehicles. I mean, it is very disjointed in the presentation. Wolf, I'll also say, in addition to the fascist state, it is very clear from what he said at the beginning, he doesn't want to go to jail. And that was clear, which also raises the question of whether what he just said about Michael Cohen, who he did not name by name, but made it clear who he was and called him a sleazebag, is a violation of that gag order. Wolf, as you know, the judge has said one more violation is jail time. So that'll raise that question as well as he's speaking without a teleprompter.
Yeah, he's just railing against almost everything involved in this case in which he was found guilty, 34 felony charges, criminal charges, very significant development. Unanimous decision by the 12 members of the jury. Daniel Dale, our fact checker, Aaron, is with us as well, and I want to go to Daniel right now. Daniel, you do this all the time following a Trump statement, a Trump speech. You review some of the lies that have been going on.
A whole bunch of lies here, Wolf. So he repeated the one I think he's repeated most frequently throughout the course of the trial and now after, saying this was all done by Biden and his people. The case was in conjunction with the White House and DOJ. Not a shred of evidence of that. This case was brought by a locally elected, yes, Democratic prosecutor. No evidence whatsoever of any communication with Joe Biden or his aides about it. He also repeated his claim from earlier this week that he said the judge wouldn't let them use an election expert under any circumstances. The judge knocked him out. Now, he did sort of clarify this after, but here's the real clarification. The judge did not bar the testimony of this expert, Brad Smith. Trump's defense was permitted to call him, but didn't. The judge did limit the scope of the testimony, saying he couldn't opine on whether Trump broke the law or not, couldn't analyze federal election law, but did not say the expert could not be used. And Trump also repeated his claim, Wolf, that crime in New York is at levels nobody's ever seen before. As anyone who lived through the early 1990s in New York knows, that is not remotely true. For example, murders in New York, there were 391 last year. Well, there were 2,262 in 1990, so not even close, and it's further come down this year. And lastly, Wolf, former President Trump said that Michael Cohen got in trouble with the law for stuff that had nothing to do with him, Trump. He said, oh, it was Cohen's taxi medallion business and so on. Well, that is misleading at best because, yes, Cohen did get in trouble for lying about his taxes, lying about things related to the taxi medallion business, but also got in trouble for campaign finance offenses related to the very same hush money scheme that Trump got in trouble for. So directly related to Trump, and his prison sentence, Wolf, was also related to Cohen lying to Congress related to negotiations or discussions with Russia about a proposed Trump Tower project in Moscow. So this was not, Cohen's own thing, nothing to do with Trump. Some of it, at least, was directly related to the former president.